1,500 Russian soldiers are now trapped hundreds of kilometers from their own border. This follows Moldova's formal withdrawal from the Commonwealth of Independent States, a move that shatters Russia's long-held strategic position in Eastern Europe. The central question tonight: what is the fate of this abandoned military contingent, and what does this mean for the Kremlin's influence in the region? The technical breakdown of this crisis began when President Maia Sandu signed the law formalizing the exit on April 8, 2026. This was not merely a symbolic gesture, it is a decisive act that erases the last vestiges of Soviet-era agreements, effectively closing all land and air bridges for Russian military access to Moldova. This move is strategically significant, not for its rhetoric, but for its legal finality. Unlike past diplomatic protests, withdrawing from the CIS framework dismantles the very treaties Russia used to justify its military presence. It transforms a political dispute into a clear-cut violation of international law, forcing the issue on the world stage. This action directly targets Transnistria, the narrow strip of land between the Dniester River and Ukraine that has served for decades as a Russian strategic artery. Moscow used this territory as a base for arms dealers and intelligence operations, maintaining a constant source of instability aimed at both Ukraine and the Balkans. It was a perfect blind spot for operations into the Black Sea basin. Moldova's decision severs those geostrategic connections in a single stroke. The Russian troops, officially the operational group of Russian forces deployed since 1992, are now caught. Overnight, they have been reclassified from a peacekeeping force to an illegal occupying army. Their presence on Moldovan soil is now a violation of international law. The logistical reality is a nightmare for Moscow. These soldiers are members of a unit that once acted as the Kremlin's iron fist, ready to shape Moldovan politics and block any move toward European integration. Now the legal ground beneath them has been completely removed. Adding to this, the Moldovan government declared the command staff of the Russian forces in Transnistria persona non grata. This strategic blow is designed to decapitate the chain of command. Russian commanders are now barred from entering Moldovan-controlled territory. Border guards have been ordered to deport them on sight. The mechanism for executing orders from Moscow has been brought to a complete halt. This effectively locks the Russian soldiers inside the open-air prison of Transnistria. Compounding the crisis for Russia, the majority of these 1,500 troops are locals who were given Russian passports, many of whom have never set foot in Russia. Moscow is now abandoning a unit it calls elite to isolation and starvation. With land and air borders already sealed by the war in Ukraine, no fuel, ammunition, or personnel can reach them. The Kremlin has reacted with fury. The Secretary of the Russian Federation's Security Council, Sergei Shoigu, issued harsh threats, claiming the lives of Russian citizens are at risk and that Moldova is systematically squeezing its troops. He warned that Moscow would use all necessary methods to respond. But these threats appear hollow. As Kirilo Budanov, the head of the Office of the President of Ukraine, has noted, Russia's contingent is weak and physically impossible to reinforce. Russia faces the humiliation of abandoning its own soldiers. The immediate crisis of the trapped soldiers, however, sits atop a far greater historical danger: the Cobasna ammunition depot. This is Eastern Europe's largest military arsenal, a relic of the Cold War. The depot, hidden in Transnistria since the Soviet collapse, reportedly holds 20,000 tons of heavy ammunition. It is a military junkyard, the leftover stockpile of the Soviet 14th Army after its withdrawal from East Germany and Czechoslovakia. For years, inspectors from the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe have been denied access at gunpoint. The status of the Cobasna depot is unique because its danger is now more environmental than military. With a high percentage of its munitions expired, it's less a strategic asset for Russia and more a massive liability. This transforms the problem from a bilateral dispute into a regional ecological threat, giving Moldova leverage to demand international intervention. 57% of the munitions in Cobasna have passed their expiration date, turning the site into a ticking time bomb. A detonation could produce an explosion equivalent to a small-scale nuclear weapon, wiping out everything for tens of kilometers and causing a catastrophic ecological disaster. With Moldova's CIS withdrawal, Russia's legal pretext for guarding the depot has vanished. The arsenal is now an uncontrolled, illegal stockpile and a colossal burden for Moscow. The verdict on Russia's strategy is now unfolding. Moldova's bold move is reshaping its political destiny. The country is breaking free from decades of Russian pressure and has set an irreversible course toward the European Union. Despite Moscow's military threats and energy blackmail, the Sandu administration has not retreated. By integrating with Europe's energy grid, it neutralized Russia's ability to use natural gas as a weapon. This decision is a historic diplomatic ultimatum. Moldova's EU integration is now advancing with unstoppable momentum, positioning it as the fastest progressing candidate country. The question has been how Moldova could join the EU with the unresolved Transnistria crisis. The answer lies in a two-stage integration plan. Chisinau plans to join the EU with only the territory under its direct control, bypassing Russia's trap of demanding internal conflicts be solved first. The separatist region is being left to its economic fate. The free Russian gas that was its lifeblood is gone. Its economy is collapsing, and its youth are fleeing. The so-called administration in Tiraspol is a bankrupt entity, cut off from Moscow's aid. The European Union's financing of Moldova represents a critical shift in geopolitical strategy. While Russia has relied on hard power and energy coercion, the EU is deploying overwhelming soft power through economic integration. This financial shield is proving more effective at securing allegiance and building resilience than Moscow's threats, demonstrating the limits of traditional coercion. The final lethal blow to Putin's strategy is the potential unification of Moldova and Romania. President Sandu has stated she would vote yes in a referendum on unification. This is not a political rumor. It is a strategic dagger aimed at the heart of Russia's regional ambitions. The unification of the two states would redraw the map of Europe. The Prut River border would disappear, and a new powerful European state would emerge, fully integrated into Western economic and military structures. This is the variable that will determine the final outcome. Because Romania is a key NATO member, unification would mean all of Moldova's territory, including Transnistria, would instantly fall under the NATO security umbrella. The 1,500 trapped Russian soldiers would wake up to find themselves on sovereign NATO territory, facing not Moldova's small army, but the full military power of the alliance. NATO F-16 fighter jets would patrol the skies, and Patriot missile systems would monitor Russia's every move. This scenario represents an unprecedented strategic defeat for Russia. NATO's southeastern flank would become an impenetrable shield stretching from the Black Sea deep into Ukraine. The threat on Ukraine's southwestern border would be eliminated, allowing Kiev to redeploy thousands of troops to the eastern front. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has called the plan destructive, but Moscow has neither the political legitimacy nor the military power to stop it. New energy lines and highways are already weaving the two nations together, creating a de facto unification. Russia's shadow over Eastern Europe is being severed by an indestructible wall, and the map is being reshaped irreversibly to Moscow's detriment.